The alarm on the medbay wall blinked red before I even opened my eyes, and the first thing I felt was the cold table under my back, and the second thing I felt was a needle sliding out of my arm. I sat up too fast. My head spun. A tall alien with gray skin and 4 black eyes stepped back, watching me the way you watch a wild animal that just woke up in your house. "Lie down, human Daniel," she said. Her voice came out flat and even like a machine reading numbers. "You lost a great deal of blood. Your ship is gone. You are the only survivor we pulled from the wreck." The words landed slow, one at a time like stones dropping into water. Gone. Wreck. Only survivor. I gripped the edge of the table. My hands were shaking, and I hated that they were shaking, because shaking hands don't fix anything and don't bring anyone back. "How long was I out?" I asked. "6 of your days," she said. "You are stable now. My name is Dr. Vesk. You are aboard the Ulnari medical vessel Ashen Current. We found your escape pod drifting near the debris field. There is nothing else left of your ship." I closed my eyes for a second. 6 days. 6 days since the hull of the Halcyon Reach cracked open like an egg and spilled everyone I knew into the dark. "Anyone else?" I said. "Any other pod, any other signal, anything?" Dr. Vesk did not answer right away, and that silence told me everything her words hadn't. "We are still scanning the field," she finally said. "I will not lie to you and promise what I cannot know, but I must be honest, the chances grow smaller with every hour that passes." I looked down at my arm, where the needle mark was already closing, and past it to the long line of ink running from my wrist to my elbow. A compass rose in black and gray. Dr. Vesk's eyes followed mine. "I have processed many humans since I began working near your border worlds," she said. "Most had marks like this one. I assumed it was decoration. But your scans tell a different story. There is a healed injury directly beneath this pattern, and beneath that one on your ribs, and that one on your shoulder. The ink was placed after the wound, not before." "You're quick," I said, though my voice came out rougher than I meant it to. "I am a doctor, I notice bodies," she said. "What do your tattoos mean?" I almost told her it was nothing, just old habit, just something sailors and soldiers do to pass the time between disasters. But something about the flat quiet of that medbay, the hum of unfamiliar machines, the fact that I might be the last man left from a crew of 40, made me want to actually answer. "This one," I said, touching the compass rose, "is from a landing that went wrong on a moon that wasn't even on our charts. Rock came down where it shouldn't have. A friend of mine, a woman named Ellie Marsh, pushed me clear before it hit. I walked away. She didn't get the chance to." Dr. Vesk's eyes did not blink, but something in the tilt of her head shifted, like she was recalculating something. "I am sorry," she said. "Everybody's sorry," I said. "Doesn't change the shape of the rock." The door hissed open before she could answer, and a second alien stepped in, taller than Vesk, with a uniform marked in sharp silver lines. He spoke fast in his own language, and Vesk's whole posture went stiff. "What?" I said. "What is it?" "There has been a contact," Vesk said slowly, choosing her words with care. "A vessel has entered the debris field. It is not one of ours." My stomach dropped straight through the floor. "Pirates," I said. "Scavenger crews work these lanes after a wreck. They strip anything with value and leave nothing behind, including witnesses." "We are a medical vessel," Vesk said. "Like that fact alone should keep us safe. Like the universe still ran on rules that decent people wrote." "That's exactly why they'll come," I said, swinging my legs off the table despite the way the room tilted around me. "A medical ship near a fresh wreck means survivors. Survivors mean stories nobody wants told. And your ship's cargo of drugs and equipment is worth more to them than you'd like to think." Vesk's 4 eyes flicked toward the silver-uniformed officer, then back to me. "Our captain is already trying to hail them and explain our status." "Don't," I said, too sharp, too loud, but I couldn't stop myself. Explaining makes you a target with a face attached. Go dark. Kill your beacon. Get this ship moving before they lock a tractor line on you. You are a passenger, the officer said, speaking my language for the first time, clipped and cold. This is not your command to give. No, I said, but I've run scavenger lanes on cargo routes since I was 17, and I've seen what's left of ships that tried to talk their way out of a boarding. I'm telling you what I know. You can throw it away if you want. For a moment nobody moved. Then the ship shuddered once hard, and a low tone rolled through the corridor outside. They have locked a beam on our engines, a voice announced over the comm, thin and urgent. Vesk turned to the officer and said something fast in her own language. He answered just as fast, sharper this time, and then he was gone, boots slapping against the floor as he ran. Talk to me, I said. What just happened? Our captain refused to power down defenses, Vesk said, her voice tighter now than it had been a moment ago. The scavenger vessel has opened fire on our outer hull to force compliance. Another shudder ran through the floor, stronger this time, and somewhere far off I heard metal groaning under strain, a sound I knew too well, a sound that had been the last thing I heard before the halcyon reach came apart around me. I was moving before I decided to move, grabbing a support rail and pulling myself upright despite the way my legs still felt like wet rope. Where's your armory? I said. We do not carry weapons, Vesk said. We are a medical vessel. We are protected under treaty. Treaties don't stop hull breaches, I said. Get me to your escape bay. If this ship starts venting, I want people in pods before the air goes. Vesk hesitated for exactly 1 second, and then something in her decided to trust the wild animal that had woken up on her table. This way, she said, and we moved. The corridor lights flickered as we ran, red emergency strips pulsing along the floor. Crew members pressed themselves against the walls as we passed, some of them carrying supply crates, one of them dragging a wounded colleague by the arm. I grabbed that second one without thinking, took the weight off her shoulder, and helped carry the wounded alien between us. Faster, Vesk said, though I didn't need telling twice. We reached the escape bay just as the ship rocked again, throwing all 3 of us against the wall. Sparks rained down from a burst panel overhead. Somewhere behind us an alarm changed pitch, climbing higher, meaner. The sound every spacer learns to fear before they learn anything else. That tone means hull breach is imminent, Vesk said, her voice finally cracking with something that sounded almost human. We are losing structural integrity on Deck 3. Then we don't have time to be polite about seating, I said, shoving the wounded alien into the nearest pod and slapping the release panel. The hatch sealed with a hiss. More crew poured into the bay now, pale and shaking, moving in that stunned, careful way people move when their whole world just cracked open. I found myself doing what I'd done on the Halcyon Reach without even meaning to, guiding people toward open pods, checking straps, shouting numbers, keeping my voice steady even though my hands were still not quite mine. Vesk, I said, you next. I am the ranking medic aboard, she said. I do not leave until everyone under my care is placed. That's a nice rule, I said. It's also how people end up dead being noble in an empty room. Move. She looked at me for a long moment, and something passed between us that didn't need translating. The ship shook one final time, a deep grinding shudder that ran through the floor and up through my boots and into my chest. Emergency lights snapped from red to white, the signal every crew learns to dread, the signal that means the countdown has already started and there is no more time left to argue. Go, I shouted, and this time Vesk went, dropping into the last pod as I sealed the final hatch with hands that had stopped shaking somewhere in the last 2 minutes without me noticing. I found the smallest space left, a cramped emergency shelter built into the wall rather than a full pod, and wedged myself inside just as the whole ship lurched sideways and the lights went out completely. For a long moment there was nothing but darkness and the sound of my own breathing, loud and ragged in the small metal box that might be the only thing standing between me and open space. Then slowly lights returned, dim and orange, backup power crawling back online. A voice crackled through a speaker somewhere close, Vesk's voice, steady now in a way it hadn't been minutes before. "The scavenger vessel has broken off," she said. "Reinforcements answered our distress signal faster than expected. We have survived." I let my head fall back against the metal wall and breathed out slow. Later, once the ship had been secured and the wounded settled and the scavenger threat long gone, Vesk found me sitting alone near the medbay. Staring at the compass rose on my arm again like it might explain something it couldn't. "You saved 12 lives today," she said, sitting down across from me without asking, "including mine." "You saved yours too," I said. "You just needed someone yelling numbers at you to remember you were allowed to." She was quiet for a moment, watching me the way she had that first hour, cataloging something new. "I understand your tattoos now," she said finally. "Not as decoration, not even only as memory. They are proof that you keep walking forward after the worst day of your life, carrying it with you instead of hiding it." "Something like that," I said. "When this is over," she said, "I would like to hear about the others, every mark, every name." I looked at her, this quiet gray doctor who had gone from treaty rules to running through a dying ship in the space of 1 hour. And for the first time since I'd woken up on that cold table, something in my chest loosened just slightly. "Yeah," I said, "I think I'd like that too.